Now, some people may be thinking I'm just gonna crap all over this movie, but I assure you that's just not the case. The rhythm section is directed by Reed Morano and stars Blake Lively and Jude Law. The rhythm section is the story of Stephanie Patrick, played by Blake Lively, whose family tragically passed away in a plane crash. Stephanie finds that the crash was no accident, and with the help of Boyd, played by Jude Law, she becomes an assassin and is now on a revenge spree to kill anyone responsible for her family's death. So how is the rhythm section? Well, let's start off by first talking about the good. So the first positive I have with this movie is Jude Law. His character is a flawed character, he's interesting, and he adds a lot to the movie, especially when he's training Blake Lively's character. He's not exactly a Mr. Miyagi-like character, he's kind of more the teacher that will push you out of the tree to see if you can take a fall. Another positive I have with this movie is how some of the action is shot. Now I say some because, to be completely honest, the cinematography in this movie is a mixed bag for me, and some of the action is actually shot rather poorly. But some of the action is shot really well. For example, there's a car chase in this movie, and the entire chase is shot in one continuous take. And it's shot in a bit of a found footage-like style from the perspective of someone riding shotgun. The camera will be looking out the windshield and then turn to Blake Lively and then turn out the back window, and it will show you the car in pursuit hitting the back bumper and all. It just creates a genuine level of tension in the scene. With all that said, this movie has a lot of negatives, so let's get into the bad. So the first negative I have with this movie is the first act. The first act of this movie doesn't effectively tell the story or build the characters. Let me just break down the first 10 minutes of this movie to give you an idea of what the first act is like. The first 10 minutes is just cutting back and forth between Blake Lively's face and memories of her family with no dialogue. And by the way, the flashbacks that she had with her family were absurdly cheesy. They're playing a card game and it's just all smiles and laughs and hugs, and Dad's in the kitchen making sauce and he gives it a taste and it's perfect. It was just so eye-rolling cheesy. And I get what they were trying to do. They want to establish that she's really close with her family and that she misses them so much. But how the first act handles that isn't all that effective. The rest of the first act establishes the plot, which is that the plane crash was no accident, but rather a terrorist attack. My two problems with this is that, first off, there is a lot of exposition dump involved. And my second problem is that Blake Lively's character, Stephanie, honestly doesn't seem all that shocked or enraged when she learns this information. If you attempt to establish that Stephanie misses her family dearly and that the rest of the movie is a story about revenge, maybe have a scene where she gets a little, mad. And that brings me to my next problem. That's Stephanie's character arc. It's so inconsistent. Before her family dies, it was established that Stephanie was a brilliant Oxford student. And then after her family dies, she takes a downward spiral and becomes a junkie prostitute. And then when she starts training with Jude Law's character, she's fairly slow to learn. And when she first goes out into the field, her first kill is very rusty. But then by the end of the movie, she's basically just a woman Jason Bourne. It's such an inconsistent character arc, and it just feels really forced. You don't see her character grow with a natural progression. You just see her doing what she's doing because the script said so. Another problem I have with this movie is the score. The score is all over the place in this movie. There'll be music in one scene that'll sound like a song from a bar jukebox on a Friday night. And then the next scene will have a song that sounds like it belongs in a Gladiator movie. It happened multiple times in this movie, and it was so distracting. Overall, the rhythm section is a dumpster fire of a movie. It's not worth getting a movie ticket. It's not worth renting. There's no real guilty pleasure aspect to it. It's just simply not worth your time. I'm going to give the rhythm section a D. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to keep yourself updated on future content. Next week, Birds of Prey comes out. I'm so excited for that movie. I made a list of my top 10 most anticipated movies for 2020, and that movie made my honorable mentions on that list. So, next week, stay tuned for Birds of Prey.